In a world that's searching for truth and light, we gather stories to share inside. Authors with wisdom, their voices ring. In the exchange show, we bring hope and guidance. Welcome to the exchange, where stories unfold. Faith and inspiration are treasures to behold. Through words and wisdom, our spirits grow. Join us on this journey on the exchange show.
Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to the Exchange Show, where stories unfold. So thank you for joining us. I am your host, Berthanna Oxendine. I thank God we are here together today on the Exchange Show. Listen, go ahead and like and share, and then invite someone to watch with you here on YouTube. And all the links you need to become a part of our networking community, they'll be listed in the description of the video. So here at the Exchange Show, I had the awesome privilege of talking to some of God's gifted authors and hearing their story. They share a message of hope, faith, love, and guidance in different situations. So to tell you a few things about myself, I am, as I said, Berthanna Oxendine. I'm a certified life coach. I am an encourager. I am a pastor, a mother, and an international best-selling author. And today, our special guest that we have on the Exchange Show is Stacy Schaffer. Hello, Stacy.
Hello, Berthanna. I'm so excited to hear you.
Yes, I'm so glad that you hear me too. So this is this is just a privilege for me to be able to interview you today about your book, With Love from a Children's Therapist. But before we get into your book, I want you to tell us some things about yourself.
Well, hello, everyone. I am Stacy Schaffer. I'm a child, adolescent, and young adult therapist in the Denver, Colorado area. And I have been in private practice for approaching 20 years, and I'm a recent author. And so I'm pretty excited to be able to have these kind of conversations. It's super fun.
That's great. Well, is this your first book?
This is my first book. Yes, it's my debut.
Did you dream of being an author?
I mean, once upon a time, like it all kind of transpired like faster than I thought it would. But I mean, you know, when you're a little kid, that you're like, you know, one day I'm gonna be a celebrity or I'm gonna be an author, and I'm sure that was in there. But I know that I have lots to talk about, and so there'll probably be another book.
Okay, that sounds great. The title of your book, With Love from a Children's Therapist. What made you name your book or call your book that?
Yeah, so when I first started dreaming about writing a book, I was thinking about all the things that I hear from kids and teens and young adults on a regular basis, that I was like, gosh, this would be good to share with the outside world, because not everybody has access to private counseling. Unfortunately, in America, it's a privilege. And so I'm like, there's so many people that could benefit from what I'm hearing, those kind of things. But I wanted to make sure that it was coming from a grounded place of love, because a lot of times people think, you know, that like professionals are up here and they're down here, and I was like, we want none of that, and I don't want any of it to sound scolding or judging. I'm like, this is coming from an absolute genuine place of love to share with other people. So that was a lot of my intention with the book.
Okay. So you were encouraged to, as in reading your book, it seems like you were encouraged also to write it because of some of the things you had experienced yourself in life.
For sure. Like I have personal experience with a lot of trauma and professional experience. And so my book is kind of a merging of those worlds, because there's a lot to extract from my personal life. When I first thought of writing a book, I was literally just thinking from a professional lens. But as I started moving through my healing work, I'm like, oh, there's things I could share, I suppose.
That's good. And I believe you really love children to be willing to, to go ahead and write this book and then share some of your story in the book.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. I mean, I really embody, you see it on a lot of like merchandise, like be who you needed when you were younger.
Hmm.
And that's like a
Hmm.
guiding principle for me because my life would have been like the entire trajectory different had I had some kind of intervention at any
Hmm.
point during my development. And so I like to think that like I'm helping make their adulthood not as hard. It's still gonna be hard because you've been outside, it's rough
Yeah.
out there. Like, but that it isn't as challenging as it needs to be.
Okay. Well, one thing I believe about your book, even for parents that, purchasing your book, it can show them the do's and the don'ts and make them aware of a lot of things that they may not be aware of.
That's the hope. That's the hope because a lot of times I'll share my friends with kids. I'm like, do you know like this trend that's happening or this? And they're like,
Hmm.
what?
Yeah.
And my closest friends with like my honorary 4-year-old niece, they're just like, we're learning quite a lot about what Ada's not gonna get to do. I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
sorry, Ada, I
Yeah.
love you.
And then too, parents and things that you're around, you recognize things that they normally probably wouldn't even recognize. Am I right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I think that a lot of parents don't have any idea about the depths of where kids are going in social media, and like kind of what to look for. And there's so many things that kids today are dealing with that kids of 20 years ago weren't. They're dealing with different things, and some basic struggles are the same.
Mhm.
Everybody had to deal with like peer pressure and
Yeah.
rules. But
Bullying.
it's a different context, like in
Hmm.
today's day and age.
Was it very stressful for you when you started writing the book? Because I mean, going back over some of the things that happened in your life, was it
Yeah,
stressful
yeah,
writing it?
like yeah, like it was definitely. I like to say that my book helped me to be more congruent, to have my insides match my outsides,
Hmm.
because I used to feel like very separated. That like I had all of these challenges going on, but like I present different, because I know how to show up in the world. And so, yeah, I mean, definitely regular appointments with my own therapist. And I am a regular at my kickboxing studio. I say that I punch bags so I don't punch people. You're welcome,
Okay.
everyone. You're welcome. And so like I worked the a line there is like leave it on the bag. And so I definitely worked through a lot of things on my faithful bag number 26, which is my favorite bag. So.
Mm. Well, I know, and then another thing I've seen in your book, how you're so open, and it's to me, what I pick up is that you don't want nobody. If you could help, you don't want anybody to experience maybe some of the things that you have experienced. So this is something you're putting out there to say, hey, take note, something's going on. I recognize
Exactly.
that. Look.
Yeah, exactly. Because going through grad school, I never saw myself represented in books, not a textbook, not a
Hmm.
memoir. I like, there are things that had some similarities, but I was just like a lot of these trauma textbooks. I'm like, have you experienced like just a bad day in your life and maybe not trauma? Because that's not my journey. And
Hmm.
so my hope is that people feel seen and heard through in the pages, and that someone's like, yeah, like at any point, because I go through a lot of things. If you're reading the book, go through a lot of
Yeah.
things that they connect to something.
Right. And what I like is this is not something you just heard
Right.
about.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. Like the rumor is because I saw a documentary. Yeah. No, none of that. Like I
mhm,
have like the combined experience and lived
mhm.
experience. I think it does give you credibility in addition to being on this side of the couch for close to 20 years. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I really believe that when we experience things in our life, it's firsthand experience, and so to me, you can relate different to people when you have experienced it. It's just not hearsay. It's something you know.
For sure, for sure. And I connect a lot with kids like related to depression and suicidality,
Mm-hmm.
that are like that. It can feel so dark. And I don't know where you're at in the book, but I talk a lot about that. And so to tell kids like in appropriate self-disclosure ways, like, yeah, I know that I know I don't know what it's like to be you, but I know my darkness. And kids are like,
Mm-hmm.
you're what? And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like it's hard to be a human. Are you kidding? It's really hard. And this
Mm-hmm.
is our first time doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I
Mm-hmm.
think like to know that like there's a guide who knows where they're going. Like nobody wants to go on a hike with the instructor that's like, so I've heard about mountains. I don't know. What? Like guide me.
So, well, you can look at your book then. It's like a guidance, to someone that's maybe be sitting in darkness,
Yes, that's the
that you're,
hope.
mhm, you're able to help guide them out. You know, did you ever feel like just giving up when you were going through,
When I was
or when
writing
you were
books.
writing the book? Because you feel like giving up, like you started writing, you're like, oh no, this is too much. I can't do this.
I mean a little bit, but the thing about me is that I'm real scrappy. And so like my defining characteristic is resilience. So like I'm like, no, I'm gonna get it done. But there were times that it was really hard. And so I like, my like closest friends would be like, I want you to picture like the one person feeling so alone reading your book. And I was like, fine. And so, picturing like what could happen. My book's actually getting published in Korea, which is super random. It's getting translated right now.
Wow.
And
Okay.
and I'm like, there's gonna be like children in another country that might benefit. And so that kind of thing keeps me going.
Because you seem to have a deep love for children, and you don't
Oh,
like them
definitely.
being. And in the book, it just seems like don't prejudge them. Try to understand where they're at.
Right. Yeah. Well, I have one kid that tells me consistently, this is the one place I can go where I don't get interrupted. And I
Mm,
think that it's pretty huge, like just to have a safe place to go.
mhm,
Like it's encouraging when kids are like, I'm like, anything else? And they're like, no, I feel better. And like I think, younger Stacy like is just like, oh good, and that
mhm.
it's redemptive.
So through your book, to me, it's like you're giving them a chance. You feel like you're giving them a chance, maybe with some things that you didn't have a chance with.
For sure. I mean, and like getting the feedback already, I've gotten like some positive feedback, and different friends have told me. A friend told me yesterday, we were having brunch yesterday, and she said, "I don't have kids. I don't plan to have kids, but this is so helpful to me for the kids in my life. Like I never thought
Right.
about it like that, and like how to approach like certain situations because I have like a whole conversation starter like piece of like when you don't know what to say. She's like, those things like I've already used. And so I'm like, can you
Mhm.
please write a review and say that, because I don't want people to think that it is just intended for parents, because it's not. That was the primary intended audience, but it's expanded, I've said, for anyone who loves someone who was 11 or who was ever 11.
Yes, yes. And then too, like as far as purchasing your book, for those that are going to be purchasing your book, where could they purchase your book?
Yeah, so it is on Amazon. Oh, look at that. It's on Amazon, and I did my own audiobook. So if you like this cartoon voice, it's on Audible and Spotify. And if you go to authorstacyschaffer.com, you can read a little bit about my book. You can like click on the links to like all the places. It's like it's in some other random places that I don't know, but there's a lot of places. And there's a contact there's a contact me form. My manager's working on getting the first chapter available like on my website, but I don't believe it might be ready by the time this is like published. But author stacyschaffer.com.
Okay, well, great. Well, what we're going to do here, we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to be right back.
Okay.
Today's sponsor is Open Door Tabernacle Training Center, a church of love. They are located at 522 Wilson Avenue, Johnson City, Tennessee. You are welcome to join each Sunday at 11 a.m. For more information, you can email them at odttc1@gmail.com.
Well, welcome back. This is it's Change Show, and our guest today is Stacy Schaffer, and the title of her book is With Love from a Children's Therapist. And one thing I like about her book, she seems to really love for people to be set free. And when I say set free, I'm thinking about children, and if you don't have any children, like she was saying a moment ago, when purchasing her book, you can get it, you can read it, and you can help other children that's in your life if you don't have children, or then you can buy it and give it to someone else so they can be aware of the different things that she's pointed out in her book. When those people purchase your book, what are some of the main points that you want them to take from the book?
I really like the fact that I do, like I was saying, I have a bunch of friends that don't have kids that have said they felt really seen, like they put language to things they experienced when they were younger, across the spectrum. And I think when we give people language, it's such a gift. When my mom was dying, my mom died when I was 22. When my mom was dying and I learned the term anticipatory grief, it like completely set me free. I was like, that's what I'm feeling, because I'm like, where's this up and down? Like, I don't know how to feel. And so my hope is that people have language for things that, maybe they experienced when they were younger. Because I want people, we all had like a childhood, right? And since we're being raised by humans, they weren't perfect because humans.
No, we're not perfect.
And so it's like, and again, with love, because like, it's not to say that in a scolding way, it's just real. We're mere mortals. And so the fact that people can kind of look back in their own childhood and like maybe like find some comfort or have some awareness of, like that wasn't like in my head, like that actually happened, I think can be really validating. So I want people to feel validated.
Okay. And also too, it's like you encourage them. You don't want them to, like you were saying, it is true, because they won't just push it down or put a Band-Aid over it. In your book, to me, you're opening up saying, listen to them, hear what they have to say.
Right.
And let them know how much they are loved. And though no matter what has happened in the past, you can come from your past.
Right. And and that's the thing, like that there is a beyond that, because I think especially like kids and teens, like they can only see right here. Right. And so that they're just like things are dark and school is miserable and I hate everything. And like they can only see like not very far. And so to be like, hey, like, I can connect with that it feels hopeless in this moment, but there's a beyond this moment. And I know that to be true.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I know what I tell kids, I know what I'm talking about. Look at my degrees on the wall.
And then too, I mean, the love that when I was reading your book, the love you seem to pour through that, and that's one thing I love about knowing Christ, is because God is love. So you let them know, you're not forgotten. I'm here. I love you. I understand what you're going through, and it's just the way you seem to have presented it in the book, that others would see that you're someone that really cares. You're not just writing a book.
Yeah, no, like I mean, I think that like when I was writing it and kids were telling me challenges, I'm like, oh, I'm writing a book about that, and they're like, can you please give a copy to my parents? And so that was pretty cute. You know, there's a chapter in there from the other side of the couch, and it's like what kids want parents to know, because I think that things are just so busy, right? We're just so busy all the time. And that's a partial reason why I did my audiobook, is so that like it's more accessible, because a lot of times people are like, when do you expect me to actually read? I'm a parent, you know. And so the audiobook is there, that it's just like I want people to see their kids through a different lens that could be helpful to both of them.
Yeah. Yeah, you really have a heart to want them to make it, you know. And I myself, some of the things that I experienced in my past or in my youth, when I look back over my life, if there wasn't a loving God, I wouldn't have made it through.
Mm-hmm.
And if it wasn't a loving God, wouldn't none of us make it through to be able to help somebody else
Mm-hmm.
with the things that you have experienced?
Yeah. Well, I've always I know my mom didn't do this on purpose. But I remember learning that my name means resurrection. It means one
Wow.
who shall rise again. It's like from the
Mm.
origins of Anastasia. And so I've always like found like comfort in that, you know, that
Yes.
like, yeah, that's in my name. And so
Wow.
I
And you
know.
did. You done exactly what your name. You went over to the. I mean, you resurrected from the girl that went through the things that she went through that you shared in your book. Look where you're at now, and you're able to help somebody else come from that dead place that they were because
Yeah.
of the love that you have in you. You know, and I believe only God can put love in somebody like that, and to encourage somebody to write a book that can help somebody else.
Sure. Well, you know, and it points to the existence, because like there's not a logical reason that I should still be alive. Like
Yeah.
honestly, you know, with the challenges and the only living relative in
Yeah.
my family, like that, there's got to be some kind of purpose, right?
Yeah,
And
he
so
still wants you here because
here
I tell people
I
all the time the only reason I'm still here is because of God. If God didn't want me here, I would not be here now today. He has a plan and a purpose for our life. And although you went through the changes and the things that you went through, you're here to help somebody else, not to have to experience the things that you went through, and for you
am.
not to walk around bitter, but let them know,
Yeah.
you don't have to stay there. Things can still be better.
Yeah.
You can live a
Well, yeah.
productive life.
So it's hard for me when you see like a documentary or something on someone who's committed horrible crimes, and they're
Yeah.
like, they had a traumatic childhood. Well, yeah, same, actually.
Mhm.
And so like I'm just like, it doesn't it like, I mean, I guess it helps explain some things, but it's not an excuse. Like you have
Mhm.
choices. And so
Mhm.
I think that's what I tell kids a lot. Like, yeah, like that's really, because I specialize in grief, you know, that is absolutely unfair. Also true. You have choices.
Mhm. Amen. Amen. You have choices.
You have
And
agency.
then just looking back at the title of your book, with love, saying a whole lot with love.
Yeah, and that it's like I have so much respect for people who bring their kids like to counseling, because I think it's really humbling to be like,
Mhm.
there's this kid I love. I don't know what to do. Like something's wrong, you know? And
Mhm.
so I think that, and like I like to partner with parents, and that's my hope, is that my reach would be bigger with my book than what I can do in private practice, because you know I'm already seeing greater Jefferson County, so like there's not much I can do beyond that, but offer this up like, here are things I know.
Mhm. That's so good. Well, it's time is getting running by so fast, but I'd like to ask you, um, what would be your point that you would like to make to the audience today to say, look, buy my book, and this is why you should buy my book.
I think should buy my book for parents and caretakers, and people who like love a child in your life, to be able to have a deeper level of connection with a younger person in your world. That, like, if you're craving connection, if you want to deepen that, if you want insight, I would say that my book would be really helpful to like understand what I hear every day.
Wow. That's good. I like that.
Thanks.
I do appreciate you being our special guest today. And you said, are you planning? Did you say you was planning to write another book too? Or you want?
Well, eventually, but like I really this is new, so I guess I need to slow my roll, and I believe that is in me, because doing these podcasts and these interviews, I'm like, oh, I do have more to say, because I honestly felt like I gave it all in the book. Here's all I know, but like there's maybe more than that. Maybe I have more words, and so yeah, like I want this, my little book baby, to be launched into the world and do good things, and we'll go from there. But I don't believe I'm done talking.
Okay, that sounds great. Well, Stacy, it's so good to have met you and talk to you today. And we welcome you back whenever you do your next books. Be glad to have you on our show. And just know, I think it's an awesome book. And I just like to let everyone know for today, that's going to be a wrap for this episode of the Exchange Show. And I want to again thank our special guest, Stacy Schaffer, for joining us today. And remember to grab a copy of her book. And we also like to invite you and someone, anybody else, to join us in the Kin community. So until next time, I am Berthanna Oxendine, and I pray abundance be upon each of you. So until I see you on another episode of The Exchange Show, God bless you.
Faith and inspiration are treasures to behold. Through words and wisdom, our spirits grow. Join us on this journey on The Exchange Show. Hope in the whispers, guidance in the prose, faith in the stories where the heart knows. A tapestry of voices woven with care. In every episode, it is a blessing to share. Welcome to The Exchange, where stories unfold.